You know that feeling? When life's kind of shifting,
Hmm.
maybe costs are going up, really squeezing you, or your family needs something different,
Yeah,
or you're just looking for a new pace, maybe ready to, finally settle down somewhere that feels right.
absolutely. And finding that place,
Yeah.
well, it can feel totally overwhelming. Just so much information out there.
It really can. Like, how do you cut through all that noise? That's what we're trying to do in this deep dive.
Okay.
We're going to zero in on one specific city that keeps popping up, particularly in the South, as maybe a surprisingly smart move, Richmond, Virginia.
Ah, Richmond,
Mhm.
RVA. Yeah, it does come up a lot lately.
And to help us figure out why, we're digging into a specific piece. It's an article by Angela Lazaro called Relocating to Richmond.
Right. So we're using her insights, her perspective as a local expert to really unpack the key things she says you need to know if, Richmond's on your list.
Exactly. Trying to get past the brochures and find the real substance, according to her take.
Got it. Let's do it.
Okay, so first off, Angela Lazaro. The article makes it clear she's a realtor, and her whole focus is helping folks relocate.
Right. Different kinds of people, too, it seems.
Oh.
De-nesters, families, young professionals.
Yeah, remote workers, first-time buyers, a real mix.
And she doesn't just say it's a good place. Her main idea, her thesis, I guess, is that Richmond could be the perfect place to thrive.
That's a strong claim. Thrive, not just live.
It is.
Oh.
And the article really tries to build a case for why she thinks that.
So where does she start? What's the foundation of that argument?
Well, first things first, she grounds it in the practical stuff, the numbers, affordability.
Always a big one, especially now.
Definitely. That's like the anchor point. Her key claim is that Richmond's cost of living is significantly lower than the national average.
Okay, lower than average.
And she emphasizes this isn't just, a small difference. It's especially noticeable when you compare it to the big coastal cities or even some other southern cities that have gotten really expensive lately.
Right, so what does that actually mean for someone thinking of moving, that lower cost?
Well, it translates directly into what she calls real value in housing.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, your money just buys more.
More house, more space.
Yeah, exactly. Whether you're picturing like a little bungalow or you need a bigger suburban home or maybe a condo downtown or even if you want some land out in the country,
Uh-huh.
your budget just stretches further there. She says this affordability really unlocks possibilities that might just be totally out of reach somewhere else.
Okay, that makes sense. That's a huge draw, just getting more for your money in terms of housing. But then the next question is always, okay, the numbers work, but what's it actually like to live there?
Right. Can you live the life you want? And the article digs into this quite a bit. It talks about Richmond's true magic.
Okay, true magic. What's that mean?
It's the diversity, the sheer range of lifestyles it offers. It's really not a one-size-fits-all kind of place.
So different flavors depending on where you look?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The article breaks it down into basically 3 distinct settings you can choose from within the Richmond area.
All right, what's the first one?
First up is what she calls urban excitement.
Okay, city living.
Yeah. Think neighborhoods like downtown, Shockoe Bottom, The Fan, places with real energy.
What kind of vibe are we talking?
Well, it's a mix, culture, history, but also like super convenient. Walkable streets, lots of independent shops, museums. She specifically mentions the VMFA, the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts.
Oh, nice museum.
Yeah, and award-winning restaurants, craft breweries, seemingly on every corner, she says. Lots of festivals. And this really unique thing,
What's that?
the James River runs right through the city, and it has Class 4 rapids, like right there.
Wait, Class 4 rapids in the city?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Pretty wild, right?
Yeah.
So you get that outdoor adventure element literally steps away.
That is definitely different. Adds a certain edge.
For sure. And she flags this urban setting as being particularly appealing for, young professionals, people who really feed off that city energy.
Okay, makes sense. So that's the core. What about if you want something a bit quieter?
Right. That takes us to the second setting, suburban comfort.
Ah, the classic suburbs.
Pretty much. This is focusing on those established, well-regarded neighborhoods in the counties, right around Richmond proper, Henrico,
Yeah.
Chesterfield, those areas.
And the priorities there are different.
Totally. Here, the emphasis, according to the article, is really on things like excellent schools. She calls them top-tier public schools.
Always key for families.
Exactly. Plus lots of parks, a strong community feeling, safety, and, easy access to shopping centers and big employers.
So this is maybe the spot for growing families, people looking for that stability and good value?
That's how the article positions it.
Yeah.
Stability and value seem to be the key words there.
Okay, urban, suburban.
Yeah.
What's the third option?
The third one takes you a bit further out into what she describes as country-rural serenity.
All right, so getting away from it all.
Kind of. We're talking about the surrounding counties that are still just a short drive away. Places like Goochland, Hanover, maybe Dinwiddie or Prince George.
And the appeal here is,
Base. Privacy. Peace and quiet. Starry nights, bigger pieces of land.
sounds nice.
Yeah, it paints a picture of rolling farmland, horse country.
Yeah.
Just a much slower, more tranquil pace.
But are you cut off then? Is it too far out?
Well, that's a key point she makes. Even though you get that serenity, you're still, as she puts it, within surprisingly easy reach of the city stuff.
Like what?
Amenities in Richmond, the major hospitals, VCU Health, HCA, Bon Secours are mentioned, and the main transportation hubs.
Ah, okay. So you get the peace, but you're not totally isolated from essentials or a trip into the city.
Exactly. And the article suggests this really resonates with maybe empty nesters or remote workers looking for that inspiring home office view, or just anyone who wants more nature connection.
It really drives home that point about diversity, doesn't it? Urban buzz, suburban comfort, rural peace, all seemingly close together.
Yeah, it paints a picture of quite distinct options, all within that greater Richmond region.
Okay, so beyond just the type of neighborhood, the article also talks about Richmond being genuinely vibrant and well-equipped. What does that mean? It's not just about where you sleep, right?
Right. It's about the overall quality of life, the things to do. The article lists what it calls unbeatable amenities.
Like what kind of amenities?
A lot centers around the James River, again, kayaking, hiking, mountain biking right there. There's a big emphasis on a thriving art scene. And we mentioned the breweries. It calls Richmond a beer lover's paradise.
Seems like you can't talk about Richmond without mentioning the craft beer scene.
Apparently not. But beyond beer, also incredible local food from casual places up to, fancy gourmet dining and shopping big centers, but also unique local boutiques.
So plenty to keep you busy.
Yeah, the article says there's sort of always something happening, like food truck festivals, concerts down by the river, that kind of stuff.
Okay, so that's the fun stuff. What about the absolute must-haves, the foundations?
It covers those, too, the essential foundations. We touched on the healthcare, exceptional healthcare, with those big systems readily accessible.
Right, VCU, HCA, Bon Secours.
And for families, it mentions great schools, again, noting there are strong options both in the public systems and private schools as well.
Good. So healthcare and education seem solid according to this perspective.
Yes, those fundamentals are presented as being well covered.
Another big factor in any move is location, 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 right? The article mentions Richmond's strategic proximity and connectivity.
Yeah, that's definitely highlighted as a major plus, its position on the East Coast.
How so?
Well, the article points out you're roughly about 2 hours drive from several really different major destinations.
Oh, yeah. Like where?
Like about 2 hours south, and you're in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
2 hours east, you hit the coast, Virginia Beach. And then about 2 hours west, you're in the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Wow. Okay. So D.C., the beach, the mountains, all just a couple of hours away. That's pretty amazing access for weekends or day trips.
It really is. Completely different environments within easy reach.
And how's getting out of Richmond or getting around generally? What does the article say about transport?
It covers the main bases. There's Richmond International Airport, RIC for flights. You've got the major interstates, I-95 running north-south and I-64 east-west, which is huge for driving connections along the coast.
Right. Crucial highways.
And there's Amtrak service, too, for train travel. So, yeah, it seems pretty well connected for regional and longer distance travel.
Okay, good infrastructure. So the article seems to wrap all this up by connecting these points, the cost, the lifestyles, the amenities, the location, back to specific people, right? Showing how it fits different life stages.
Exactly. It doesn't just leave it as abstract points. It directly ties it back to those profiles Angela Lazzaro often works with.
So, for instance, the empty nester.
For them, it highlights the chance to potentially downsize your home, but importantly, without downgrading your lifestyle. Finding easier, low-maintenance living, maybe one of those urban village spots or out in the country, but still having all that culture, the good health care, and easy travel access right there.
Okay. And for a growing family.
It's really about the ability to upsize your home, get into those highly rated school districts and communities that feel welcoming. You get the parks, the family activities, more space, but at a price point that's significantly more accessible, she argues, than in a lot of other comparable metro areas.
Making that family home dream more attainable.
That seems to be the idea. Then for the young professional.
City life.
Yeah, immersing themselves in those energetic, walkable neighborhoods like the Fan or Shockoe Bottom. Maybe finding a cool modern condo or loft, being surrounded by career opportunities, the nightlife, all the restaurants, that city buzz.
Right. And what about remote workers? That's a huge group now.
For them, it's about maximizing that flexibility they have. The article points out the choice you could have your inspiring home office in a trendy urban loft, or a quiet suburban house, or maybe a place with amazing nature views.
Lots of options for the home office setup.
Exactly. And crucially, supported by good infrastructure,
Yeah.
including high-speed internet access, which is obviously key.
Absolutely essential. And finally, first-time buyers. That's always a tough market to crack.
Yeah, and for them, the article emphasizes being able to enter the housing market with more confidence because there are diverse, more affordable starter options.
Like city condos or maybe suburban townhomes.
Precisely. And it also stresses the value, especially for first-time buyers, of having a local expert to help navigate that whole process, understand the specific challenges and opportunities.
It really pulls it all together, showing how these different facets of Richmond could appeal to very different needs and goals.
Yeah, it connects the dots from the general city features back to the individual perspective.
Now, the article, as you'd expect from someone in the field, finishes by saying, look, relocating is complicated. You're going to have specific questions, right?
Generic info only goes so far.
Yeah, generic downloads won't cut it, is the phrase used. It really requires that personalized conversation to figure out your situation, how to navigate the market maybe from afar, understand local rules, find those hidden gems.
And get the timing right, all that stuff that you really only get from someone on the ground, those insider tips.
Right, that local knowledge. And the article concludes by making it clear that this kind of tailored advice really comes from a dedicated local expert.
Someone who actually lives and breathes that market.
And it actually provides Angela Lazzaro's contact info for anyone wanting that direct consultation. The phone is 804-203-2217, and the website is angelazaro.fathomrealty.com. So it ends with that direct invitation.
Yeah, it sort of wraps up her argument by saying, here's the potential, but let's talk about how it applies specifically to you.
So stepping back and looking at everything we've unpacked from Angela Lazzaro's article, the core appeal of Richmond really seems to be this maybe unusual combination.
What stands out most to you?
Well, the genuine affordability, first off. Then that surprisingly wide range of lifestyle choices, like truly different vibes from downtown to deep country.
Right, the spectrum.
Plus, a pretty rich layer of amenities, culture, things to do that make it feel vibrant, not just affordable.
And all underpinned by that strategic location, the connectivity.
Yeah. It seems to offer a lot of choice, a lot of potential value for a real mix of people.
It definitely paints a compelling picture of versatility.
So thinking about this picture, all these diverse options in a city like Richmond, and knowing how personal that right fit really is, it leaves us with a question for you, the listener. If you were seriously exploring a move to a city that offered this kind of spectrum, from urban energy to rural quiet, what would be the single most critical factor you'd prioritize right now? What matters most to you in making that choice?